Chart Update 25th April. A day of insanity, a day of hope. Adjusting to national suicide, a neighbour shouting, and the end of charts. It has been difficult, but I accept the source's position that what we are faced with is not a UK government scheming in a coordinated scam, but a government which invented an absurd figure because they had no idea what to do and wanted room to manoeuvre when they had to do something dramatic. That dramatic act, lockdown, has not only failed to work, but finally the UK chart has broken out on the upside. Somehow, despite being locked in our homes, we aren't merely as sick as if we'd gone about our business, but we are sicker. That is most clearly seen on a linear chart where the line, which should have been curling over, has shot straight ahead. The UK first hit 8,000 on the 6th of April, then again on the 9th, before peaking at 13,000 on the 12th. It dropped to 8,000 the next day, but still found 8k on the 18th, 19th and 20th a week later, and 5 days later, a fortnight after peak, it's still finding 8k. If I had the power, I'd want to audit the UK cases, just to understand how the virus can defy its own nature and just stay entirely level, infecting at a constant rate. Where is the government finding these people? Aren't we in lockdown? And speaking of people, I had one neighbour say, "We don't want to discuss COVID-19 anymore, it's too depressing." And a second, the one who shouted at me, "Forget it, Andrew, people matter, not data," shouted in email, "Please stop," because I dared mention the possibility that we could, with luck, transition from lockdown to a sensible oxygen-based vitality system. With her head so deep in the sand that she threatens Australia, why are we trying to save the country for her? We are supposed to fight the politicians to restore sanity before they destroy the country, and we are faced with charts that show that lockdown has not only not worked, but that we're worse off than we could have been or should have been. What the hell is going on? The brief picture of sanity from last time is shattered, with the new points once more heading above the nominal trend line, the line that never flattened, here it should have fallen away faster, tilting down, and the data points mock it. The daily cases make a mockery of following the path of a virus and just go walkabout. In desperation I looked to see if the newspapers had any absurdities to report or could pretend to have any insight, and I find instead their inane easing of a non-working lockdown when we desperately need to get back to normal life. And of course the UK's chief liemonger is right there to show that far from easing, we should be more scared with massive levels of deaths. And the sad part is I can't even say that he's wrong. I still need to integrate what I've heard in the conversation with Source and its warning as to the real lethality of the virus. A month of lockdown, 8 weeks since the fatal 3rd March, 530,000 deaths, lie, and it is still a lie, even if it was a cover your backside and not a scam. And what have we achieved other than to stay locked in insanity? This was the first headline I found, and I couldn't have put it better myself. Until now, we've shown that the data told how badly the governments had lied. Now, with the data gone walkabout, cases breaking out in excess of an already non-functional lockdown, New York's Cuomo virus rampant, how can I trust the data? Our data, non-China data. Or the virus for that matter. We already know not to trust the politicians. The media are no more than useless mouthpieces. And the public just want to be told like children when they can go out and play, and howl at anyone who dares ask them to think. There is literally nothing left to rely upon. We could do no worse by running through the streets naked. And if we do not usurp the politicians soon, that is exactly what may happen. A bankrupt people rebelling. Before I was exhausted, but I wasn't in despair. With what I've seen tonight, it's despair. There has to be some path, else why indeed do we bother? And that was my intro as I went to bed, and it was how I felt when I woke up, and I had no answer other than to keep going, because the source said it made sense, because you believe I make sense, and because what other option really is there? Less than 9 hours later, all of that remains an accurate picture of what has sustained us so far, charts and data. As of now, however, they are burned, no longer reliable, no longer sane. If we are to find a way out of this crisis, one that has just escalated, with Ferguson showing that Dr. Fear is alive and well, then there has to be another way. As I say, after the briefing from Source, I can't even say that Dr. Fear is wrong, yet, about those estimates. Yet the contrast between the sane world remains huge. It recalls another distinction from Source. Our deaths are real and massive because any death touched by COVID-19 is a COVID-19 death. Foreign deaths are largely deaths, just old people dying from whatever cause, with COVID-19 associated as a factor. It is akin to lung cancer and smoking. Does smoking kill the person with lung cancer? And if so, who do you blame for the person who didn't smoke and also got lung cancer? And we do love blame. Your parent was old and died of heart failure. What were you expecting? Would be headline news: the doctor sacked, the heartless attitude blamed on Tory plans to privatise the NHS. You know the drill. But seriously, your parent was old and died of cancer. What were you expecting? In my case, twice, I thank the universe that something took them relatively quickly. They nearly killed my brother, whose devotion to them passed all bounds. Do you seriously think I miss my parents? You have no idea what was granted you in that conversation if you do, and that is fine, that is human. But no, I do not miss my parents. I have no reason to. We are trying to navigate a very small, fast rib towards a cruise ship that is out of control, overrun by pirates, wearing suits and the accoutrements of senior politicians, and filled with passengers and crew, regaling the passengers with lie after lie after lie. We do not have time for your ignorance. I'm sorry to be blunt. We need RMC, SBS, SEALs, JTF2. But warriors of light, not arms. I need the best to stand and say enough, because there isn't time to argue or explain or debate. We are now in a self-selection program for special forces, the elite of the human spirit. If you're not up for it, you'll know. You'll walk away. If you're up for taking down a crew of pirates before the cruise ships rams an iceberg, a lighthouse, whatever, you need to get ready. We'll continue the charts, but they are now a secondary element. When they cease to make sense, they cease to matter. As of today, they would have ceased to matter anyway. Funny how that works. Synchronicity, some might call it. Ending lockdown on a scientific, rational basis just became priority number one. We would have to end it anyway, for the damage it is doing, but we, by remarkable timing, unleashed Project Kill Lockdown today with its inaugural Oxygen Kills Lockdown. Ending lockdown without regard for the virus or the risks would be irresponsible. As I've always stated, we are not rebels because we are frustrated by lockdown. We are the good guys because we are the responsible people with the answers, the data, the facts. What overwhelmed me this morning was how to find a way out, how to resolve the conundrum that Source had set me. A lethal virus, incompetent politicians, failure of lockdown, destruction of society, anarchy, if we didn't act soon. To say the least, I was daunted, despairing. It was impossible. No one could find a path through that. And so I did the one thing I could. I worked on the oxygen presentation. Even as I was finishing up, the pulse oximeters, or POXes, not ideal, but hey, showed up. Perfect timing to finish the presentation with a flourish. And then I finished, aware that as Source had indicated and I had realized, we had an easy way out of lockdown. This is our new priority. It solves everything, not by being a cure, but by getting the roadblocks to sanity out of the way. Oxygen kills lockdown, science replaces insanity, simplicity replaces absurdity. It ends lockdown based on science as soon as they answer one simple question. It gets the people back into society, those who are safe and essentially immune, blood oxygen greater than 95%, and with no cautions, allergies, asthma, diabetes, etc. It gets policy out of the hands of incompetent children like Dr. Fear Ferguson, and it identifies the people we need to protect. It gives us time to focus on the medical aspects, cure and vaccines as appropriate. Isolation ceases to be a blanket policy of failure, but becomes a sensible and scientifically sound action that anyone can understand. And so much for expensive testing kits, These were £40 from Amazon. No doubt they'll be free on the NHS. So goodbye charts as saviours, and they did save us, keeping us sane and grounded in facts and data when all around were lies and nonsense. We'll keep going. It's always good to know your position and how things are developing, but they're no longer the priority. They're support, information. Before, we didn't have a strategy, a solution. We only knew that lockdown was a failure. We espoused modest action, do what you like, if it's useful, rather than blanket lockdown and vaccines. They wanted to do too much and destroyed our societies in the process. We took the stance that there was nothing that needed to be done and society would be saved even if it lost a bunch of people. People die. That's not callous, it's simple observation. 1,500 people died today in Britain, as they die every day, unreported, unlamented, except by their loved ones. They died of the wrong things. The media took no notice. Right now, we're going through the neck at the narrowest part of an hourglass. Stay with me or leave. I don't mind. I do know where I'm going and what I have to do. We have the answer. Oxygen, if proven, gets us out of lockdown, frees us from the incompetence, gets the economies working, and gives scientists time, not much time, for the cure and the vaccine. But that is only the beginning. Politicians have revealed themselves to be incompetent. Media has revealed itself to be dangerous. Public has revealed itself to be unfit for democracy. As the source put it, no one is happier than Putin or dictators right now. A Joan of Arc, a Churchill, they are sorely needed, or a Cromwell, cleansing the putrid houses of Parliament. For the sordid incompetence and complacency of those who choose to rule us has been revealed in all its emptiness, devoid of honour, of skill, of courage, of anything worthy of respect, barring being human, which sets the bar very low, frankly, these days. So once again it's up to the few, 300, Battle of Britain, take your pick or any other, not to take over, but to lead by example. We have the answers where others do not, to show leadership where others do not. If anyone aspires to the top slot, feel free. I observe, I show what is possible. But without you, I would have been alone and bitter on a couch in Kent. So here are the charts, but today, from now on, they are just charts. The image on the left is the future, for now. And if the scientists don't back up the conjecture, we'll find another way, and another. But we need a way forward. It's not enough to be locked down. It's not enough to be ignorant. It's not enough to rebel. We need to take command, and we need to have a plan, and it has to be a good plan. And we means anyone who wants an end to this nonsense and a sensible way forward. So here you go, for the moment, today's charts. The farce of the US continues. I'll put it full screen and then go linear. New York City and state have as many cases in a day as California and the US ex-New York have had in the entire contagion. That is pro rata per 100 million population, of course. Yet California, which also has some cities, as best I recall, manages to be substantially below even the US ex-New York. Thank God there is some sanity in American figures. Let's move on. So here goes. Canada wins the alphabet lottery and is up first. Canada, prolonged, not quite at peak, insane. Brazil, still climbing from a lowish level. Mexico, likewise. Ecuador, Barbados, South Africa. Barbados, Stella, look forward to being back with you. Ecuador, ouch, major disaster spike. South Africa, Algeria, extending and failing peaks. Insane. Italy, France, Belgium, Portugal, all extended post-peak. Insane. Will the few countries actually acting like a virus please stand up? Or are we missing something? Germany, Norway and Germany at least giving a downtrend shot, but still also extended. Hungary, Thailand, South Korea. Thailand and Korea exemplary, Hungary extended post-peak. As long as you're not North American or European, it seems you're allowed to be sane. Iceland, Finland, Greece. Iceland, excellent. Finland, extended post-peak. Greece, what on earth? Are you going up or down? Iran, Iraq, UAE. UAE climbing gently, please back off. Iran, extended post-peak. Iraq, ditto. Either there's lots of countries playing silly buggers with data, or we have to treat this as characteristic. Japan, Malaysia, Singapore. Japan leveling and heading down, excellent news. Malaysia extended post-peak. Singapore, another ouch, but at least today it's a down tick. Malta, Netherlands, Turkey. Malta, excellent drop-off. A rare should look like this. Netherlands extended post-peak. Turkey just coming over peak. Pakistan, India, Israel. India climbing but curling over, bravo. Pakistan, disappointing to see the continuing climb, but at a low level. Israel, extended post-peak. Testing, escalating, boosting cases, maybe? Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam. Philippines extended post-peak. Indonesia climbing slowly to peak. Vietnam so bored it's done, done, done. Bravo. Russia, Poland, Croatia. Russia, sharp curled peak. Let's hope that's it. Poland extended post-peak. Croatia extended post-peak. Next time it'll just be EPP if it's going to be this prevalent. It's worth noting that it defies logic to say that's all those governments manipulating data. It could be all those governments using testing, which inflates cases, or it could be a characteristic of the virus. We'll have to see. Sweden, Ireland, Spain. Sweden, the great hope of no lockdown. Extended flirtation at peak. Ireland, racking descent. Good for you. Spain, great descent. Now into extended what? Extended post-peak. Yep. Switzerland, Austria, Denmark. Switzerland, Austria, lovely downhill. We should be surprised. Denmark, not bad, but mild case of EPP. Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand. Oz and Kiwis tumbling down to oblivion, the kind where you can wake up and forget the nightmare. Bravo. Racing to join Taiwan, who exceed even their alacrity. Bravo. There it is, today's charts full of insanity and the bizarre. The prevalence of EPP, extended post-peak, is fascinating. That's too common to be either an exception or government tampering. So the anomaly needs to be understood. Testing is one candidate, inflating cases from original symptoms in hospital to much wider and milder. Viral behavior is another. The problem with the viral behavior model is simply that there are many countries, Asian typically, including those round eyes, Oz and Kiwis, so it's not a racial or genetic characteristic, whose charts are classically pronounced. Rush up, peak, rush back down. So I'm inclined towards the testing hypothesis, but don't have time to be particular. It's just a chart right now. I started out wanting to debunk the absurdity of the government's positions and offer clarity on that. Now I understand the urgency of going beyond that. We need to get a cure for lockdown and get on with tackling the virus while removing incompetent hands from the wheel. Charts will continue to be interesting and presumably are an important part of why viewers pay attention, and that's massively appreciated. But at some point we have to address the now critical issues that the government, big pharma, the public and media have managed to not address, while simultaneously doing massive damage to our societies and livelihoods. So please check out Oxygen Kills Lockdown and get the message out. We need an official answer, a decent answer to a simple question. Does the blood oxygen level affect the lethality of the virus? If so, and there is an essentially safe or immune level like 95%, then lockdown is over for anyone over that who has no countervailing issues, asthma, diabetes, etc. There's the question. Does the blood oxygen level affect the lethality of the virus? We need an answer. Get that message out there. I'm still Andrew May. They're a 6-year-old Brit, mathematician, financier, technologist, husband, biker, pilot, healer, whatever. Feel free to get in touch, andrew@peerlessreads.com or andrew@amather.com. Either should get to me.